Hello and welcome to Rebrand Everything, episode 11. Today we're going to be creating 5 new logo designs for Burger King. I have worked out how to do a YouTube poll so you can vote for your favourite at the end. Let's go. The current Burger King logo looks like this, and the current KFC and McDonald's logos look like this. So I feel like Burger King looks a little bit outdated compared to its competitors. When I look on the KFC, McDonald's and Burger King websites, I think the simplification that McDonald's and KFC have done to their logo and to their branding is making them look a lot more modern than Burger King is. I think the Burger King logo is looking quite 80s. I just feel like it's got potential, but it just looks a little bit full on at the moment. So I want to play around with some ideas today of simplifying that and also create some other ideas that are just new. If we look at the current Burger King logo, it's made up of 3 colours. We've got the red meat text, we've got the yellow bun with some super shiny highlights on it, and then we've got a blue swoosh just going around that. But I actually think it looks better without that, which looks like this. It's kind of weird to use blue in a fast food restaurant's branding. I think all it reminds me of is the plasters that chefs wear on their hands when they're cooking. So if they drop it in, you can see it, so it's a little bit disgusting. So probably going to remove that from most of our options today. So let's have a look at the sketches and see what ideas we've come up with. Playing around with a crown icon, which they don't currently use in their logo, but I'm very conscious not to just overcomplicate the logo, as this is a simplification mission, so I don't want to go adding loads and loads to it without good reason. But I thought this kind of burger combined with a crown icon could work. Also got a few much more simple ideas, just like perhaps using the swoosh but maybe not in blue and having that over to the left of the wording. And then perhaps looking back at their really old branding, I noticed that they have like this top and bottom like burger bun, and it's just much more geometric, much more straight on square icon. I started also looking around at shortening it down to just BK. We'll see how that goes when we get into Illustrator. So for our first option, I wanted to create a logo that was like super clear, bare essentials, super simple, and just basically using the same concept of the wording being the meat inside a burger, but have this super simplified bun on top, basically just making a rectangle version of the current Burger King logo and then simplifying it back to its like purest, simplest form. If you notice on the current Burger King logo, they use this font that's got some of the edges are like right angles and some of them are really, really curved. So I thought we would use a font called Co-Text, which kind of does something similar to that. Some of the edges are curved, some of them are dead straight, just so it retained a little bit of that character and had a little bit of the previous brand in there. This actually looks like one of their really old logos, which might again be a nice tie back, that it's kind of a little bit trendy to go back to the old logo that you used to have perhaps, or just maybe a more modern version. At first I was using a font called Co-Text to try and retain some of that rounded and straight edged font that the current Burger King logo has. I wanted to keep a little bit of that character of the previous logo, but while modernising it. But then actually a bit further on in the development I decided that I wasn't going to use that, and I ended up just using a big bold sans serif font and rounding the corners myself, just so to get that nice balance. For the second option, I had this idea that I wanted to kind of combine a crown with a burger. I thought a crown's normally gold and a burger's normally kind of gold, so it seems like it should work out. So as I'm working on this one, you can probably see around the edges of the pasteboard that I've had a look at quite a few other options, but I didn't want to go into too much detail on them because they looked a little bit too much just like standard icons rather than company logos. So I played around with a few different crown icons and came up with this one here. And I used a nice modern sans serif all caps but no rounded edges this time, and put that underneath just to match up with that sort of really simple style. Once the crown was drawn, I added that slab of meat in the middle, which is just very simple, and then just thought it looked a little bit lacking, so I added like a 50-50 shadow, just a little bit darker on the right hand side, just to add a little bit more interest to the crown and also the diamonds on top. And also I think doing stuff like that just gives it a little bit more scope for the actual branding. You can play around with using that sort of 50-50 shadow on some of their icons, maybe the background of their brochure front covers, something like that. For our third option, I wanted to create just a really simplified and modernised version of the current Burger King logo. So instead of having it all at a funky angle, just straighten everything up, neaten it up, make it all spaced nicely, much more solid font, perfect circles, perfect geometric bun, like no messing around with different angles and little highlights and stuff, just really simplified version. And I thought we'd retain a little bit of the character of the old logo by using quite a funky font, which is actually called Cock-on Bold. It just has a nice balance of rounded corners and a couple of straight edges, but it's just got a little bit more character than say Arial rounded or Vag rounded or Din rounded. For our fourth option, I started looking at ways of how we could build a better crown logo or a different crown logo in Illustrator using the grid. I really like using the grid to make shapes like this because it's just a good way of keeping it all neat and tidy. All your spacing's perfect, and you don't have to think too much about it. You can just worry about the end result. I came up with this nice little one with the overlapping triangles, which kind of looks like an origami hat maybe, looking at it again now. Put yellow inside that so it looks like a crown, and I actually set all of each triangle to multiply so that we get that sort of stepped gradient down into the middle, which makes like the darkest orange. What that's doing is just overlaying the yellow colours and making it a little bit deeper each time. And then I use the same concept beneath there with a little slab of meat and then a bottom bun, and I think although it's the same concept, it's made quite a different looking icon to option 2, and something it's just a completely different style, so I thought that worked quite well. For option 5, I wanted to play with the idea of the crown on top of the burger, but without doing exactly the same thing as option 2 and 4. So I decided we'll make a nice simple burger icon and then create a different crown icon and put that on top. So instead of keep making the top bun the crown, which some people might not see as a burger, I thought we'd put the crown on top so it's literally the King Burger. Maybe we should rebrand the whole name to King Burger. And then I combined that with Din Rounded Bold and Din Rounded Light, and I used different weights of fonts just so the word burger was more dominant on the screen than the word king, because obviously burgers is what they're selling, so I thought it would be good to give that precedence. Even though on the current logo the word king is actually bigger, just because it's shorter amount of letters, so that means when you need it to align left and right, the word's obviously a lot bigger. But I would say that the word burger is probably the most important on this whole logo, so that's why I've done it like this. Okay, so here are the final 5 options we've come up with today. I've made a little mock-up for each one to show how the packaging could look using the new logo, just to set the scene a little bit. If you like this video, please press like, it will help me out. And if you want to see videos like this every single week, then press subscribe. And if you want a notification each time, press the bell as well. And if you could let me know what you think in the comments below, that would be really good. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you would have done. And I would also appreciate any thoughts on the format of these videos, just so I can keep making them better each week. Let me know which is your favourite. Cheers.